Alrighty, boys and girls, today we're working on Unit 13, Lesson 5, Picture Graphs. Okay, so not only are we going to be transferring data, we're going to be answering questions. Okay, so today I will draw picture graphs to represent data and answer questions about the data. So remember that data is information. So you saw in the last few lessons, we took data by surveying some people about what their favorite anything was. So in this case, maybe what their favorite animal was, right? Dogs, cats, or fish. And then we use a tally mark for each vote. Then to transfer the data that we received, we moved it over to a picture graph. Remember that this is how a picture graph is set up. Okay, so your title goes at the top. So favorite pets was the title, was the question that we were asking to collect the data. Then over here on the left, this is where you put the labels, right? And then make sure you remember that we have a key. It's important to always have a key and to be paying attention to the key. Okay, so down here it says 1 circle equals 1 vote. So here, if we look here, there's 1, 2, 3 circles. So that's 3 votes for dogs. Okay, so here are the steps. Number 1 is to read and gather data. Number 2 is to draw and label the graph. Step number 3 is to make a key. Step number 4 is to fill in the data. And step number 5 is use the data graph to answer any questions. Okay, so here on number 1, I went ahead and started. Okay, so what I did was I read the question. So it says use the data to label and fill in the picture graph by sorting the shapes. Then answer the questions about the graph. Okay, so there's 2 parts, right? You need to use the data to label and fill in the picture graph. Well, they already did it for us right here. And then you need to sort the shapes. They want us to sort the shapes. So down here in this area, this is our data. And you need to take that and to sort it into here. Now I needed to pay attention to the key because they want us to do a plus sign for each shape. Sorry, I had to sneeze. So for each of my shapes, so circle, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 circles, so I did 4 plus signs. There was 3 triangles, so I did 3 plus signs. There are 2 hearts, 1, 2, so I did 2 plus signs. And then for square, I did 4. There are 4 plus signs. Once I transferred the data, now I just need to answer the questions about the graph. Sorry, I'm going to pause for just a second. All right. So I have transferred my data. Now I need to answer my questions, and that's going to be it for this step. Question number 1. How many circles and triangles are there all together? Okay, well, remember when we were doing our addition unit, all together means that we're adding. Okay, how many circles and triangles are there all together? Well, I can go up here to count, but that's not the point. The point is to look at the data in your table and answer this question. So it says how many circles? So there are 4 circles and triangles. There are 3 triangles. So I need to add that together. 4 plus 3 is 7. So there are 7 circles and triangles all together. Okay, and the number 2, or the second question says, how many more squares are there than hearts? How many more squares are there than hearts? Well, if I think back to my subtraction unit, the subtraction unit we did together, how many more means to subtract. Okay, how many more squares are there than hearts? Squares, there are 4. And then hearts, there are 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2. There are 2 more squares than hearts. Easy peasy. It's just a matter of remembering what our key vocabulary words were, our key words, right? How many more squares are there than hearts? That's subtraction. How many are there all together? That's addition. All right. So step number 2. The rest of this lesson today is the rest of the work that you're going to be doing today, including the structured guided practice and the final check for understanding and the student practice. It's all the same. So you're going to be given one data set on the left, and then on the right, you're going to take the same data and transfer it onto a new graph based on whatever they're asking you to do. Okay, so step number 2, problem number 2 says use the same data to draw your own picture graph. Label, so we're using the same data from this right here. Label and fill in the graph by the size of shape. By the size of the shape, large or small. So we're separating into two categories. Well, that makes sense because if I look right here, and this is probably the first time that we're actually going to be filling it in ourselves. Okay, if we look at the format of our graph, right? Up here is our title. So this is where this is a picture graph too, so it's going to be the same exact. So up here is going to be the title. Right here is going to be our, oh no, my cup almost fell. On this side is going to be our labels, right? This is where our labels are. Sorry, I had to sneeze again. So I paused us. All right. So here, right here, if we look, is where our labels are, right? So this right here is also going to be our labels. And then right here is our key, right? We always look right here for our key. What a symbol are we using? And how many is each symbol worth? And then, oh, oopsies, I didn't mark it right here. And then the last portion is where we're putting our symbols from our data. Okay. Oh, I would suggest to keep marking it every single time until you can remember where each part goes. Because I know that if you're looking at a blank graph, this looks like maybe you could put the label right here. Okay, so you want to mark it off based on what you can remember how it's set up originally. Okay, so the first one we can put is our title. So what can we title it? Well, we can title it whatever we want, but we obviously want to pick something that makes sense for the data that we're collecting and separating. Okay, so here this one is called shapes. Well, this one's also about shapes, but we're talking about shape size specifically. So we're going to write shape size. Then what are our categories? Well, we have circle, triangle, heart, and square here because that's the data that we're separating or the data that we're organizing. Over here, we're organizing our data into large and small. So we're going to do that. Large and small. Okay, then right here we use the plus sign. Plus sign for one shape. Well, let's choose something else. Let's do a open circle like this, like an O. O equals one shape. One shape. Okay, so now we need to just fill in our data, right? We need to look over here and we need to count how many large shapes there are. So we can tell that this one's a small one, small shape, and this one is going to be large. So let's do, since large comes first, let's count how many large shapes we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 large shapes. So our symbol is the open circle. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 open circles because there are 9 large shapes. Then I'm going to come back over here and need to fill in my small box. Count how many small shapes there are. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 small shapes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy peasy. All right. Now all we need to do left is, or all we have to do left is answer our questions. Okay, remember that the key to figuring out what we're doing with our numbers is to figure out what our key words are. So let's read the questions. How many large shapes are there? How many large shapes are there? Well, this isn't comparing. This is just asking you straight data questions, right? How many large shapes are there? Well, let's count. Here's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 large shapes. And when I see your work, I need to see your complete sentences. I don't want to see 9. I don't want to see 9 large shapes. There are 9 large shapes. And remember, period at the end. How many small shapes are there? Wow, we don't need to compare. All right, so sorry, I had to sneeze again. All right, so again, how many small shapes are there? Okay, straightforward. How many small shapes are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 small shapes. Easy peasy, guys. I know some of you might struggle with the reading, which is fine, but so you can maybe ask someone, but I know that you guys know what these words are, when small and large. All right. So obviously the first questions were a little bit more tricky. They're more math based because you need to do either addition or subtraction, but the next questions were just straightforward questions from the data. Okay, and all of your questions are going to be just like this. You have to take your data and fill in the graph, then answer the questions, and then for number 2, it's going to be from the same set of data. Okay, so I want you to do structured guided practice, final check for understanding, and the student practice. Okay, keep going.